welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, today we have Benjamin Strake, goes by Ben. I'm going to let you explain some of because so everyone that's listening, Ben is basically a serial entrepreneur. Would that be a fair way to describe you?
Yeah.
You're in a lot of different avenues from what I understand.
Yeah. I guess that's how I would describe it. It's kind of, at this point, my girlfriend kind of like laughs when she tries to explain what I do to people who ask. And they normally kind of pick up on one of the companies and go, yeah, he does that one, you know? And it's kind of funny because some of the businesses I've been in and a lot of the businesses I actually started working in are bars and restaurants. And so a lot of my family will just be like, oh yeah, he's a cook, he's a chef. And I'm like, I am the farthest thing from a chef. So, but that's what they catch on to. So anyway, yeah.
Entrepreneur would be really what you are.
That's kind of what I go to now the most. But my main focus and the main thing that I do is I help small business owners value their companies, and then I help them confidentially sell their companies. And then I also sometimes represent buyers who are looking to acquire as well. That is like my main focus. That's where I spend 90% of my time. And then luckily over the years with partners, always with partners or a managing partner or, just really good key staff, we've been able to acquire a few companies, every year or two. And, so those have kind of gotten more diverse. And, I spend maybe an hour a week on some of those, down to like 0 time a week on some of them, depending how strong the management team is there. And so they kind of run themselves at this point. But being in the space where I get to see all these deals and what they would call deal flow, and I see deal flow, I do get to once in a while find something really neat and cool that I personally am excited about. So
that's awesome. See, because I knew you were in a lot of different things, but for anyone that's listening to the podcast, this is the first time me and you were meeting.
Yeah.
Like we've never met before. It was through my sister knows you through somebody else, and my sister suggested you coming on the podcast. So I just sent you a random message online, and it took us a little bit to get together, but we finally made it happen. So I've looked into you, and my sister knew kind of who I am and what I'm interested in, and I had no idea that's what you did. So 90% of your time, it's a business set up to help other businesses physically price out their business and then sell it. That's awesome.
Yep.
What an awesome networking tool.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now, did you start that?
Yeah. So kind of the backstory on that, let's see. I'll start with, I graduated back in college in 2009. So I came out of college at probably the worst moment in our, short lives to be an entry-level grad, because it was the height of the recession, and there were people with 20 years experience applying for the same job at the same pay rate.
Oh, yeah.
So who are you going to hire, you know? And I just remember I couldn't even get a phone call, to set up an interview, much less an interview.
Yeah.
And so after applying for 100 jobs and getting not a single call, I'm like, is it me or what's going on? You didn't really realize at the time, that everyone was going through this thing. And so along the way, I had worked in the hospitality industry and had, worked up from a server and a bar back to eventually, a GM, multi-unit GM. And that was still an industry that I knew I could pay my bills with, and live comfortably enough, and get through the recession. And so I ended up continuing in that industry after I graduated from college. And so, but I was always kind of wanting to do that corporate thing, and have that corporate job, because I thought that's where I would go,
What? Oh, like you wanted a corporate job.
I thought, yeah. I thought at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's what school teaches you, right?
Yeah. But
that's the ultimate position.
Yeah, but I'm too entrepreneurial to do that, and I know that now. I'm unemployable, as they would say. But my bosses back then even knew it, because I would be going for certain promotions and certain things, and they're like, "You don't want that." They're like, "You're not. You want to do your own thing, and then come in and do this here, but then you do these other things." And I didn't recognize that in myself, but Some of the people I worked for were phenomenal, and I got to kind of learn from them, and they kind of saw who I was before I think I realized it. But
is that the reason you didn't recognize it? Is that just because of like maybe how you grew up? You think because of like I feel like that's how same way in my mind when I was growing up. I didn't come from a family that was in business, and so I was always super attracted to it, but I didn't even think it was in my playbook. You think that's kind of what it was?
Yeah,
you're just like, oh, I'll go to school, and they tell you need a corporate job, so you think, you've been pushed to think that your entire life, but really you're naturally being pulled to this other position.
Yeah, I definitely grew up that way. I had a family, everyone, had a good job, blue collar, white collar jobs, very comfortable, not into risk, status quo. And when I had all these ideas or I had these companies or these things I wanted to do, they kind of look at me like, this guy's crazy, you know? So I never really understood that. And I didn't know kind of where I was getting that from. But so kind of even to back up my story even more, I was adopted when I was 2 days old. So my adopted family where I grew up, they were the ones that just had all good, stable jobs. And then, 30 years later, I located my birth family, and my biological grandfather, he's like 83 now, and I think he owns like 10 plus companies, and he's a serial entrepreneur, and he owns restaurants and bars, and
just runs through the blood.
It was crazy, yeah, because I definitely, and I'm a product of both of those things. Like, I feel like I've got certain, obviously genetics from him, which caused me to want to do these things. But I was raised in like this really loving and supporting family that was there at every turn for me, and just really, I think, guided me to be the person I am, luckily. So I got the nature and the nurture kind of thing. So that was really good. But yeah, I think that's part of what kind of drove me. But in the development into brokerage, I was still working in hospitality, and I had this girl that was working for me, and at the time, she kind of knew I wanted out, or I was looking for like corporate jobs, and she was like, my sister works in the office of a business brokerage firm, and they're always hiring. They're commission only, so they burn and turn a lot of brokers. They're always recruiting because they know if they get 5 new brokers, like one's going to work out and be good. But it sounded like the closest thing I could find to corporate, so I was like, that's interesting. I'll give it a try. And so I left hospitality, I think when I was like 26, and I went to work for this business brokerage firm, which was probably the largest in the Midwest at the time.
Do you remember their name?
Yeah.
Don't want to say it though. We'll leave it out.
Yeah, we'll leave it out. But they'd been around for quite a while, 40-something years. Were
they based out of St. Louis?
They were.
Is that where you worked?
Yeah. They were the most, I would say, notorious in St. Louis. And you either loved them or you hated them. And I didn't know how many people disliked them until I left. And then everyone was like, oh, thank God. Like, I wasn't going to do business with you until you left there. But I actually, what happened, I was there for about 18 months. And I was 26. No, how old are you?
I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. At 26, no one trusts you to sell their life's work.
Right.
You're a kid, It's just like a financial advisor who comes out of college from Northwestern Mutual is calling you to go to lunch or let's go get coffee. And you're like, you don't know anything about managing a portfolio, but they always bring that senior person along to sell you, right? That's kind of their model. But I got to go to work there. They had like 100-something companies for sale. They had 15 brokers. They were very experienced, it seemed. I learned some good things for sure, but I also saw like what not to do. And I saw a culture that was just incredibly toxic. And the same moment that I took this leap to become a business broker was right at the time that there was like a really big boom with social media and social media content and copywriting and management. So me and a couple partners started a small digital boutique marketing firm. And I thought one of these things is going to work out, right? And we were underfunded, didn't have the money to do it really, but we were making a go of it. I was kind of the lead business development guy for it. And I want to say within a year or two, we had over 20 plus clients, and the marketing company was putting me in front of 5 business owners a week. The brokerage was putting me in front of maybe one if I was lucky. But either way, when I got in that meeting, I was letting them know that I can help you grow your company, help you market it, and I can help you.
So you were part of the marketing team too.
Well, that was another industry that was like my first company that I really started.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was into marketing, and when we sell someone's company, we're marketing it, really.
Right.
So it all kind of goes hand in hand. But for me, it's like, if I can show you your company is worth whatever, $100,000, and then you hire us and we increase your sales and your earnings, and you paid $30,000 to do that over the course of the year, but I can show you the value of your company went up $150,000 more. Mm-hmm. It's ROI.
What a great idea. And I tell people out here all the time, and like anybody that's like trying to add a little side hustle to it, I'm like, why don't you do some like help people with social media marketing? Because now that is you got to do it.
Yeah,
like,
it's a necessary evil at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many businesses that don't do it, and I'm like, it's not even an option. Like you almost have to. I mean, if it's a business been in business for a long time and they're doing fine, like they're just coasting. It is what it is. But if you're really trying to grow your business, you need that social media.
People verify you there. They check to see that this thing is legit. I'm trusting this brand. Like if you don't have it, it's like, why not? Why doesn't this brand have this?
Yeah.
So that was part of it. But so as that company was going, it was kind of odd. It was like, I was the youngest in the room for the brokerage, and the owner was trying to figure out, how do we grow? How do we continue to market more? And he had wasted a ton of money on like radio ads on Camo X and things that, like, he got one phone call and spent $36,000, stuff like that. And they're trying to figure out what to do. And some of the other brokers that I was close to knew that I was kind of this marketing guy. And they're like, you need to talk to Ben. Like, he's the guy that can maybe help you figure out how to reach more clients. So they kind of teed me up in a way. And that's when he said, yeah, I'll take a meeting with you guys, and in that meeting, I think he realized how involved I was in the marketing company that I owned. And so at that moment, that was the beginning of the end for me at that firm, because he didn't want part-time brokers. He didn't see the picture that this other thing over here puts me in front of so many business owners. He either didn't see it or didn't care, and he just wanted me to be a full-time guy.
Because the marketing thing is going to help them make money. So people are going to be much more interested in that if you can help them grow their business significantly versus just valuing their business.
Or also if you're struggling, that's when you might call a marketing company, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, another alternative to hiring a marketing company and making an investment in your business is you may need to sell your business and just get out of it. So I saw a beautiful synergy, and they did not see it that way. So I was told, I had to be in the office more, and I can't do this other thing, which was a company that I now own. So that wasn't really going to happen for me. So a few months later, they called me in and they let me go because of that, because they need full-time brokers. So with that, they basically just created, their new competition. Yeah. And I kind of sat on the sidelines for a year just to be careful with a non-compete that I had. And then a year later, with a mentor and a good friend of mine, we started Premier Business Brokers, our firm. And that would be, this February will be 9 years. And just slowly over the last 9 years, we've just taken over market share from them and have slowly grown into the biggest firm in Missouri now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we have a team of brokers. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
So you guys based out of St. Louis then?
Yeah, we are. We're based out of St. Louis. Our office is in the Westport area currently. We primarily work with sellers in Missouri and Illinois, but we have clients, all over the country. We represent buy side all over the country as well. But yeah, we're right here. I think we're up to 17 brokers. We've got maybe 130 companies on the market. All the companies are anywhere from $100,000 company to 30 million. That's kind of our threshold.
They all positive cash flowing businesses?
I would say like 92% roughly last time I looked at it. Yeah.
So anybody that's looking to get into business should come and talk to you.
Typically, yeah, we're like 30%, 30 something percent probably of the St. Louis market.
Wow.
So
yeah, because so my big thing is I got big into Robert Kiyosaki. Do you know Robert Kiyosaki at all?
I know the name. I know the book.
So I had read, because I was feeling so pulled to just going out on my own, doing my own thing. But I was just like, I just had so little financial education. It was not even funny. And so I actually caught wind of Rich Dad Poor Dad. I ended up reading it. It really helped change my mindset where I just started like just remolding everything in my life. I took like 2 or 3 steps back, sold a lot of stuff that I didn't need, and just kind of like reevaluated my life. And then he has a book after it's called Cash Flow Quadrant. And he just talks about, like he calls it cash flow quadrant, where it's job on the top left, self-employed in the bottom left, big business in the top right, or business in the top right, and then investing below it. And he just talks about like the benefits and the non-benefits of each category. And it really opened up my eyes a little bit more. And that's when I realized like that's kind of where I'm headed now, is I'm trying to build up to the level. I would like to own a corporate business one day. Like I want to own a corporation, and I don't even know what I want to own yet. I have a lot of different things that I'm interested in, but I don't even like, I'm big into the fitness industry now, but I was big into cars before that. And I'm interested in a lot of different things. And I would, there's so many different corporations out there. I could buy into a supplement company, and, I want to own it. I want to be at the top, because I like the idea of a business that can run itself. Like right now I own a gym, and with the gym, I have a lady that runs it. She's an office manager, and she does great. And she does a lot of the paperwork, like the basic paperwork, but I'm always one that has to follow everything. And there's a lot of stuff that I can't just pick up and leave completely. I was gone for about a week and a half, and I came back and I really had some stuff to catch up on. And that's what I don't like. I love working, and I want to work every day, but I want the freedom to choose what to work on. If I want to be able to have, a CEO that runs the company, and then there's a marketing team, there's, all these different teams that are working on different things. But if I want to pick up and leave for 6 months, I wouldn't, because I like working, but I want to know that if I want to switch between all of these day after day, because I don't want to do the same thing every day. I know that for sure. I always, when I was younger, I was like, if I could work a new job every 6 months, I'd be super happy, because I love learning, and I love working on different things. And it's just, I don't know what's so exciting about it to me. I'm big on the journey, and like whenever I finally get somewhere, I'm not even as excited about the product as it was getting to the product that I got. And so, yeah, that's a big thing for me, is that's where I'm headed. And I didn't even know this kind of thing existed in the world. Yeah. I didn't know there was a business broker that helps sell businesses. Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, there's a certain percentage, like 20, 30% maybe, don't know that business brokers exist, kind of. And I always get so, like, disappointed. I'll see, like, a business that I know of, and they're like, oh, we've decided we're going to go for sale. And they, like, announce it to the public, and then everyone knows, or they just shut it down, and it has real value, and they could have taken like hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, and they're like, we're just going to shut it down. And you're like, why wouldn't you have tried to sell? So I see that a lot. Kind of disappoints me, just because I see people leaving money on the table, but it's maybe that was best for their personal choice at that time. I don't know the backstory, but I see that a lot. And then the thing I really, really enjoy about it is that you talked about, shifting gears and seeing a different company or a different job. That's basically my everyday. Like, I get to go in and meet with a different business owner, hear their story, hear what they did to get to this position now that they consider a potential sale. And I, since I started that work, have really just been intrigued by all of that. And I just try to be a sponge and absorb the little pieces of their playbook that help them get to where they are today. And I try to bring that back into my own playbook to do my own, my own endeavors. So it's never really boring, because I might be walking a manufacturing line one day and looking at their lathe machines and everything that they're producing and going, oh my gosh, this goes in a fighter jet. Like, this is crazy. And then I'm over here, working with an e-commerce company that just opened up, Amazon distribution, and they're excited, so it's like,
you got an amazing job.
Something different.
You got an amazing business.
We like to say it's the best job in the world if you can make money doing it, because 1 in 5, 1 in 10 end up being good at what we do. And so there's a lot of people who try really hard and work really hard and spend a year or two trying to get into it, and they just never quite get the runway, to get there. I almost didn't. I think it took me like 12 months to get my first listing. But I sold 1 or 2 companies because I had a lot of people, I had a lot of contacts. But I've got brokers that are, busting their butt right now, and they're struggling a little bit. But then I've got the top 25% that are doing really, really well and thriving because they have like all the tools needed to kind of fill this role.
Now, these companies that were failing, do you think they were failing because you're a businessman of yourself, and so and you have all these other businesses. So one, you have the backup from them. I'm sure it helps a little bit, but these other companies that fail, or maybe these brokers that even work for you that aren't doing like the top production, does that have anything to do with how much they're in business? Because like if as a gym owner, the people want to know that I work out there. If I didn't work out at all, these people aren't going to come to me for my advice, because if I was just extremely overweight and never came in, they just wouldn't like respect my opinion. But I get a lot of people that come to me because I work out there every day. They've seen me in the community working out for a long time now. They know I'm very active in it. Do you think that has anything to play into it? Or is all your brokers all own businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because, sorry to cut you off, but whenever I go to a bank and I'm trying to talk to my banker or a banker, because my banker just switched banks, and so now they have a commercial side to their loan department. She's like the residential mortgage. And then so every time I bring up to her like something I have, my next business idea, billboards, which was my most recent ones, I don't think this dude owns any businesses. And so whenever I'm pitching him these ideas about how much it's making, I'm like, yeah, it's not cash flowing the best. It's cash flowing, but not cash flowing the best. But I'm like, I have all these ideas to make it better. Like, I'm like, I could do this, this, and this to make some money off of it. And he'll instantly shut me down. He doesn't see that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, that's my whole like niche market, is find something that's failing, pinpoint why it's failing, and think if I can fix it up to make it better. I started out flipping cars. So I'd buy junk cars, wrecked cars, and I'd fix them up and flip them, and I'd make money off of that. And so I look at businesses the same way. Like, I think it's actually myself easier to find a business that's failing just because of poor management or not enough, like maybe they're not passionate about the business or something, and then just buy it and revamp it. And then you don't have to get like, there's easier for customer base because usually they already have some customers. So usually they got somewhat of a system, even if it sucks, they still got a system in place. And so it's easier for me to come in and just remodel everything than it is to like start from the ground up, find new customers, everything like that. And so, yeah, like this guy, it's hard for me to talk with this dude sometimes because I don't think he owns any business. I don't think he works for a commercial loan department, but I don't think he's actually active in any fields.
I will say that, and I have some phenomenal bankers. I have a few bankers that, we work with personally, or they're bankers that we trust to refer our clients to. There's a lot, actually. There's a lot that I really enjoy working with. And the banks are constantly changing temperatures on what they're willing to lend on. And as interest rates go up, the sale prices have to go down on businesses to make sure that the global, debt coverage can be met. So you're constantly needing a number of banks that can get in the game and see if they can lend on various businesses. There's also certain industries they won't touch, some of them, but some of them will. So you just have to have a wide array of options. But in dealing with so many banks like that, it's kind of funny when it comes time for a banker to maybe leave the industry, or because they see deal flow, they see the deals that I see. It's just funny because it seems like they're very risk adverse and they do not want to pull the trigger. And they may window shop for a very long time and look at a lot of things. And I think to this date, I don't think I've ever sold a company to a banker. I have probably put 20, 30, 40 companies in front of bankers who personally wanted to buy them. And I don't think I've ever had one close on a deal. So there is a little bit of that there. And maybe they see the horror sides of someone not.
And if you're a banker, hey, nothing against you. It's just like, I don't know. And I'm sure there are plenty of bankers out there who own a bunch of companies. Yeah.
But just in my immediate circle, and really the ones I would be referencing now, like I consider friends. So, and they kind of know too. They'll be like, if I wasn't such a pussy, like I would have wrote this offer, and I'm like, well, maybe next time, but I know they're not.
That right there, I've turned down some offers that I knew in my head were good. Like I seen a deal and I was like, I should jump on that. But fear kept me from jumping on it. And then after it, I because I paid attention, I watched, and it turned out to be a fantastic deal, just like I told myself in my head. And then now, if I get that feeling off of a deal, like if I look at it and I'm like, this seems like a good deal, and I start to get that feeling in my gut, like it kind of making me a little nervous. So like I start to feel that fear. That's when I'm like, jump on it, because that's when I know this one's going to be a good deal. Because sometimes they scare me because it's like they're almost too good of a deal, and now I'm like, that's the one you need to jump on.
So, and I have one of these deals that I put in front of this banker that I know that was looking at some companies. It was like a construction company. It was doing like maybe $2.5 million in revenue. And I was like, it was a steal. The price was really low and, decent cash flow. And, he seemed very interested. And then in the 11th hour, got nervous about it and said, I don't think I can do it. Didn't do it. And this company was going to go they were just going to shut the doors if nothing happened. So me and a couple partners said, you know what, we'll offer you full price. We'll buy it from you. And we happened to luckily have a guy that could run it for us. Otherwise we would have never done it. But that company went from 2.5 to, I think we might do 8 million this year in revenue.
Whoa.
And I think in the first year we did 6 or 7. So it went from 2.5 to 6 or 7 million in revenue. And I haven't really given that banker buddy of mine crap yet about it, but I think eventually I will.
It's
coming.
Like,
dude, look what you could have done.
Yeah.
So I see that stuff now and then, but yeah, you do have to take the risk. And I've got plenty of, you win or you learn, and I've got plenty of learning experiences where we've got. A business that failed for whatever reason. We've had some pretty crazy stuff happen. I think I've had 4, failed businesses, something like that, for, maybe like 8 or 9 successful ones or whatever. So I'll take that ratio all day. I learned a lot from the ones that failed, but the ones who made it, and are still going, those are the ones that,
it's the fear of those 4 failing that keeps them getting from the 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That are going to be successful. I know so many people that they just, it's fear that controls them so much.
Yep.
And they won't power past it, because money to a lot of people it just means so much to them. And I don't know, it's almost like everyone's just brainwashed on what money really is, but it's literally just paper that we all agree is worth trading value. Yeah. But it's really nothing, and so it's like, take the risk on it, and put it into something that's more valuable than the cash.
Mm-hmm. I have a thought for you too, based on what you just told me. It sounds like, you're looking for these turnaround specials, right? Like opportunities to fix businesses. I think in the long run, like definitely there are people who are very good at that and can do really well with it. But in my experience now at this point, I think in the long run, if you set your sights a little bit higher at a little bit bigger business that is cash flow positive, it will expedite your growth. Like, there's a reason they're failing, right? And 85 or 90% are going to fail and go away. Why? And here's the thing too, those failing ones, you may not be able to get a good loan on because they're failing. Mm-hmm. If you just go at a slightly higher business that has cash flow and it's positive and they're doing something right, for, right now it's a little weird because the interest rates are so high. But if say the SBA loan is a good product, and, I'll have people that are like, well, just show me like 60, 70, 80, $90,000 companies. I'll buy them cash, whatever. And I'm like, okay, but they're losing money. Like, why would you, pay 80 grand on a business that can't get a bank loan because it's losing money, and now you got to get in and try to fix it and make it work, and you had to put all $80,000 down to do this, or whatever, you had to put half of it down to do this, when you could just go for a $200,000 company that's got $80,000 to $100,000 of positive cash flow, and for $20,000 down you can go get an SBA loan for it. So you only put a quarter or half of your cash down, and you have something that's making cash immediately and covering debt. So I'm always kind of working with people through that.
That's exactly what I'm trying to focus on.
And then it speeds up everything else, and I'm at a point now where I'm starting to look at some more sizable companies, and you make one of those jumps and it puts you in another, level if you're able to manage it and keep the train on the tracks, because you're buying someone else's proven work.
Yeah, that's 100% what I'm trying to focus on right now. And so July of 2021 is when I actually made, because I got into real estate. I was buying rental properties back in February 2018 was my first rental property. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing that just as a retirement investment. Mm-hmm. And, I was just like, I was working in a body shop this time. I was fixing cars, blocking on cars, spraying cars. And I was just like, yeah, if I got one, it'd be a great investment. And then it just started accumulating. I'm like, I get two, I get four. And then I was just like, man, this is a great idea. And I was actually thinking about really scaling up on that. And then I realized I don't want to do just real estate the rest of my life. Like, I like rental properties. I like the idea of providing American citizens with housing, but I don't want to work on these things all the damn time. I actually really enjoy the idea of business because it has so many different avenues of where you can make money and you can do a bunch of different stuff in it. And so, so basically when I was working in a body shop, that's when I realized I had to get out of here. I was too restricted, couldn't go out and do what I want. I was just waiting for them to give me another raise so I can make more money. It's the only way I can make more money. And that's when I realized, I'm like, this isn't for me. I got to get out and do my own thing. And so when I was thinking about starting a business, I had set some money aside from just flipping cars, my rental properties. I flipped a couple houses. So I had some money set aside, and I was like, I need to do something. I need to make this jump or leap of faith, basically. And so the body shop I was at was actually up for sale. And I even after I, because I didn't buy it, I was just like, nah, it's not what I was kind of ready to get out of it anyway. And so then I was just thinking, what can I do that's going to positively cash flow some money, but also give me some freedom? So that's why I started the gym in my community, because I knew I could buy this gym out that was in my community that was failing, basically. And they were in business for 14 years, but they in 14, 15 years, they had never changed a thing. Never updated anything. And so, I bought them out, revamped it. But my idea was go 24/7, get everybody under automatic payments where they're set up, and then it only takes one person to run it. And so I was like, that will give me the freedom. I knew I wasn't going to make a ton of money, but I was like, it would give me the freedom to be able to go out and find something else. If I want to go and start another adventure, I can. And so I've been looking into it, and, some people tell me I need to start another gym. I looked into the body shop. The numbers were okay, but they just weren't that great. Not for the amount of work it takes and the money it was going to cost to get into it. It was just way too much. And so that's where I am right now. All these ideas, another gym is not bad if I can find the proper location for it. I think it'd be another way to add, because I buy all the real estate too, because I like, that's how I get is I use the capital off these properties, rental properties, commercial properties. That's where a lot of my money comes from. And I'm not like 100% sold on that idea. And so I'm kind of just, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's why I started this podcast, actually, because out here where I'm at, we're very rural, and there's not a lot of there's a lot of business owners, but not a lot of people that are wanting to get bigger. They started a business, they put a lot of their own personal time into it, and they basically all they did was buy their own job is all they do. And that's not what I'm wanting to do. I don't want to buy a body shop and be the painter of it. It's just not for me. And so, I started this podcast because I was trying to network out and find some people, and just like this situation right here, I never even knew this existed. If I knew I could come to you and be like, hey, I'm looking to buy a business, because I'm 100% set. I want to own a corporation one day. That's, it's been on my mind now, very heavy for a long time. And it's just, how do I raise the money to be able to get in one of these positions? But the whole idea of how a corporation works is exactly, it's what I'm after for sure. And so, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to find some bigger deals that I'm going to be able to make, I can actually grow to be able to make some more significant cash to be able to put into a corporation. Because I got to, I'm assuming a corporation, a C Corp, not S Corp, an actual C Corp, I feel like for one that's going to be decent, I'm sure it's going to be in the millions. You think?
You never know. No, you never know. It just, and that's the thing is like, it's interesting. Like, there's a group that I just recently got into. It's kind of like a peer advisory group, and you have to have a company with a certain amount of revenue, and you have to have over 50 full-time employees and things like that to qualify. But it's really interesting because, you know, a lot of the people in it have like one really big company, and I'm in it because I have like a few like smaller companies that like add up to like a big company kind of thing. And but so it's just interesting because I'm working with these, you know, like real CEOs, you know, and just hearing what they're going through and the challenges of their organization. And the organization's so big they don't even know, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in it. But I'm different because I have these little micro companies, right? But you know, I think you just start where you can and you start small enough, but with cash flow, right? So that in buying existing, you know, it's successful. It's then the 15% that made it through the wall and they're still there. But betting on that and just getting like one and then finding the next one, like that feeds off that one a little bit, right? If they can be in the wheelhouse, you know, if you look for that vertical integration or horizontal integration, looking for those, you know, really will help you build and then build towards that $2, $3, $4, $5 million company you want to buy later. You know, that's what I'm doing at least, and I think that's working.
Well, that's basically where I'm at right now too. I would like to basically bundle it all to the point where I make enough, and I'm fully okay with just like if I had to selling it all, selling like this big bundle of businesses to be able to buy the one. But I, you know, even after I bought the one, I'd still be buying other stuff. But I think that's like. I just don't know how else to get up there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could save cash
Yeah.
for a long time, but unless I buy multiple different businesses and have multiple different incomes, and like you saying, they're working together where they help each other out. I just don't know how else you get there.
So there's an interesting thing, and I didn't know this until I had some clients who taught me about arbitrage. So arbitrage in the financial spectrum. You know, for anybody who might not know, which most don't.
I don't.
You know, the idea is, and the easiest way for me to explain it is so I'm in hospitality. I own a few bars and restaurants. So I can typically go out and acquire hospitality businesses for about 1.5 to maybe 2.5 times their earnings or their profits or their cash flow. And so for easy math, let's say there are 10 bars out there that are making $100,000 around the state of Missouri, and the going rate is roughly $200,000 for sale price, meaning a two multiplier of their earnings. If I go out and I acquire 10
Seems like a killer deal.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems decent, right? But if I go out and I buy those 10 bars now, each one of them is making $100,000 a year in profits, I now have a combined $1 million. It'll probably take me 5 years to get these 10, though, you know, because it takes time. But if you get through that, you've now put $2 million out, right, to buy them at $200,000 a piece. You've got $1 million now in cash flow and earnings. So along the way, during that 5 years, you're paying off debt. You're paying down the notes. And then at the end of that, when you've packaged those 10 together, you have an entity that's like a holding company behind it all. You now have a combined $1 million. And so not only are you getting better leverage and better rates from your distributors, so maybe you increase the earnings a little bit higher because of that. But either way, by building up the organization to have that amount of cash flow, you now attract financial buyers, you attract strategic buyers, and you would definitely still attract individuals who could maybe afford this. And it drives the market up for this business because it's larger now. So because of arbitrage now, instead of getting a 2 multiplier on the cash flow, you'll probably get a 4 to a 5 or 5.5. So let's just say a 5. So you have $1 million in earnings. Now you're gonna get $5 million for something you just spent $2 million on. Mm-hmm. So that is essentially what private equity funds are doing all day, buying up companies for 2 to 3x. I had a client who was in the healthcare space, and it was actually my first buy-side client ever. they're the ones who taught me about all this. They were acquiring practices for 2 to 4x typically. Sometimes they'd pay 5x if it was making $1 million or more. They might pay $5 million for $1 million. And they were doing all that because they had a deal worked out with a private equity group that was going to pay them, I think, 10x right there off the gate. So they packaged together like 10, 12 locations, partnered with private equity who bought like half of it, got a 10x on that money, and then private equity backed them to then go and grow. And I think the goal was to get to like 50 million of EBITDA and of earnings. And I want to say they got to 40 million of earnings. And then they sold to United Health last March for $700 million.
Whoa.
They got a 17.5 multiplier on something they bought for 2 or 3 times.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's happening all over the world.
All over the world. They're consolidating with that.
Yeah. That's crazy because that's on a whole nother level that, like, if you really pay attention, you can see it happening. You know it exists. But whenever you're so small, like myself, it's hard to even look in that realm. But at the end of the day, and that's where I've really started to push myself and let my fear, where I'm like anymore, I almost say I'm fearless anymore. I'm not scared of any deal because it's at the end of the day, it's just another deal, and it might be more zeros at the end of whatever deal it is, but they all work the same. Whether you're flipping coffee cups or you're flipping multi-million-dollar companies or bundling these things, I feel like, yeah, but it's crazy to actually hear about it, like in person, that people that actually done it. Because, yeah, it's just in a realm space that I'm not even in yet. But I hope to be there someday. Yeah. I hope to be around those kind of people one day because those are the kind of people that inspire me. Like, I get inspired off of other people really doing, like, some big inspirational stuff like that.
For sure, same. And, yeah, it's, I see a hole in the market right now. I don't want to say hole, but because it's still very competitive. But kind of my strategy personally is just, so you have those consolidators doing these huge, massive roll-ups, and there's so much risk. Like, COVID could have taken these guys out completely, and you wouldn't have, $700 million coming to them. But there's an opportunity for people like us to go out, piece together those little small ones, get 5 of them together, have that $1 million of cash, be in it for $2 million on the loan essentially, and flip it to that consolidator who's doing the huge roll-up for like a 5, 6, 7x and getting your, basically doubling your money or tripling your money. There's an opportunity there for that. And that's kind of the place that I'm gravitating towards in the future, is just creating these little packages of deals for the guys and girls doing the big roll up that I can just sell it to that group.
Yeah.
I think there's a real chance there, but the whole thing is crazy because private equity just keeps buying.
Now, do you think these private equity companies, do you think they're on a whole nother level too, where they're packaging even bigger deals? Or are they the top holders?
Oh no, they're packaging, and it's heading to publicly traded companies. That's where it's going.
Yeah, they're packaging into like these massive public companies where people can buy into it. They're rolling
all these deals up and then going public when they become large enough, and then the consumer is then investing in at this crazy premium. In the stock market. Of things that sold for 10 cents on the dollar on the private market.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and that's a big thing about just being in the space too. Like, you gotta just start and get into it, and that's when you start finding all these deals. Because if you're not, like, I didn't even know this existed. So that's going to make my life a lot easier. Whenever I'm going to guarantee there will be a time when I send you a message and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. You got anything, or can you help me find this in the future? And because most average people have these ideas of wanting to start a business, but they don't realize that this even exists. Like, there's a business broker out there that's selling businesses. And so they're just either they think they got to start it from scratch, or they're just hoping someone lists it just to the public. Just like, they put a sign out front or post it on social media that they're selling, but it's not good for business. Like, it's not good for business. And that's, I would actually, one, nobody wants to give out their numbers. And that's what everybody wants to know, is they want to see the numbers on their business whenever someone goes to buy it. And so I feel like, having a business broker makes sense.
Typically,
because I feel like things stay more private that way.
They do, and it's funny right now. I'm dealing with stuff, and I'm friendly with the guys, even though I maybe don't treat them the best all the times. But there's some realtors that I work with that onboard businesses to sell, and they don't know how to value real estate, or I'm sorry, operating businesses at all. They just basically they're winging it, and the only way they have to market, because they're set up to sell real estate, is openly and publicly. So these folks with like 20, 30, 40-year-old businesses are going out in the local media being like, hey, we're for sale, help us, and now they've probably got people coming out of the woodworks asking them questions. People are not qualified to even see the financials or even get on the phone with them or calling them. And then I'm trying to rework the value with the agents, because I have people who want to take a look at the business, actually, because that's what I do. And I'm like, how did you guys get here on value? And they're like, well, we just picked a year. We picked like 2020, and whatever their earnings were in 2020, that's how we valued I'm like, that's
not how it works.
It's a very unique way to approach this, guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just pick a date from the history books and decide.
Well, yeah, obviously you want to pick the best numbers you had over
so
their
clearly,
career. Yeah.
And they didn't capture occupancy expense. There's all these things in the earnings they didn't even back out that are not going to be earnings to a new buyer who gets a bank loan. So again, it's just, so sometimes I get frustrated when I see that stuff. Because I don't go and try to openly sell real estate. It's not what I do, and on top of it, they're charging half of what my firm would charge. They're charging half of what the market is for selling companies. So it's like if I started selling,
you get a 12%.
Typically
commission?
10 to 12, depending. We have some larger deals that will go down to 3, 4, 5% when they're large enough.
Just depends on the deal.
Yeah, but it's like if I was selling real estate at 3%, I bet a lot of realtors would be pissed at me.
Oh yeah,
you'd be like, "What are you doing?" You'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and these same agents are like, "Well, we're not competing with you. Are you mad at us or something?" I'm like, guys, you're putting a bad name on my industry because you're not professionals at this. You don't know what you're doing. So you're making my industry look bad.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't do real estate.
It's just greed on their side. They're just trying to get their commission check out of it.
Yeah. And there is real estate involved, which I go, great. You guys did a great job valuing that. That's terrific. Yeah. But on this other part, you don't know what you're doing at all. So I deal with that sometimes. You said something earlier that I was thinking about that I think is a common pitfall that I see all the time with my clients. And I shouldn't even say pitfall because it's not a bad thing at all, and it's what Main Street America has been built on. But, you talk about getting kind of trapped with your blinders on when you're in your business and you're working in the business. And, all these things in life happen, all these things in work happen. And eventually you wake up one day and you've just been in this thing grinding for like 10 years. And you're like, I was going to grow this thing, or I was going to do this. But I got too caught in the weeds. So, but for some people that's great. And they just want a job. They bought a job or they started a job and they made a good life for themselves and they're really content. And I applaud those people. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
That is like, 80% of my clients are doing that, which is totally fine. But then you see people who are trying to build something or scale something and they're, making it their goal to not get caught in those weeds and make sure that there's key personnel or there's key people that they can lean on in every deal that they do so that they don't get stuck taking the phone calls at midnight when there's something going on or, having to open the store the next morning. Like they're just not doing that.
Yeah.
So good and bad.
I'm actually really glad you touched on that because I just had Hydro Scenes. They're an upholstery business. They do like boat seats and everything like that. They're out of Pacific, Missouri. Just had them on the podcast the other day. Haven't even uploaded it yet. But we were talking about that with them, and the lady that runs it, she was talking just how busy she is and how much time she has to put in. But she's wanting to get into more into apparel, and just really start to grow this business. And I was like, well, why haven't you hired someone yet? And she's like, well, I just don't know. There's a lot. You got to put a lot of trust and everything like that in other people to do it. And I was like, yeah, but that's how I was at the gym. For the first 6 months after the building got renovated, I was running the office. I was helping the customers. I was doing everything. But the problem was I couldn't think about growing my business. I couldn't think about, what can I do to help out revenue, or what can I do to do like micromanage anything. Like I couldn't even focus on marketing because I was in the office 8 hours a day at least working with customers. And so then it just dawned on me one day. I'm like, oh, I got to get somebody in here so I can get my freedom back, so I can start focusing on growth and where am I going next? What can I do to grow this business some more? You know, I could actually focus on the things that a business owner should do. You know, I didn't need to be sitting there filling out liability release forms with the customers and showing them how to use machines. I needed to pay someone to do that so I could go out and figure out some other stuff. And since I did that, I started another company. I bought billboards, I bought some real estate, and I've like really gotten the marketing really big. And that's something I'd like to talk to you about too, because that's an area that turns out I really like. It's great for my creative brain, and I don't want to do it full time, but I would like to understand it more so that, you know, I would like to get to, and that's also why I want to grow, because I know I'm doing marketing every day now. I post an ad every day for my businesses. But I know I can't do this for the next 50 years. So I'm going to have to get to the point, I got to grow to the point where I can make enough money to pay someone to help me out. And I would like to get someone that's on board with me that maybe does all my marketing for all my businesses. And then I can work with them. And then, you know, on days that I want to do some marketing or have some ideas, I can go to them and be like, hey, let's do this today. But on days that I don't want to do it, it's still getting handled. You know, and so that's where I'm at right now is like, and I've had a lot of people that are like, why don't you just pump the brakes for a minute? You know, why don't you just stop for a second? I'm like, I can't because I got all these ideas, and it's like, you know, I have the gym's actually kind of higher maintenance than I ever thought it would be.
Yep. They all are.
Yeah.
They're all more work than you thought.
Yeah. And so I see, and I do a lot of the maintenance myself, the little stuff, that's stuff that I can just go in, because I go in and work out anyway. And most of it's just, you know, just putting a new bolt in something, or putting a new handle on something, or a new seat or something like that. Maybe takes an hour of my time. But, you know, I also have the real estate, and I got this, and then I have other stuff going on. And I don't even cut my own grass anymore. You know, I start to delegate these things that take up my time, that keep me from focusing on growth. And so that's where I'm at now is I can't afford to pay a maintenance guy full time. But maybe if I got a couple other things going on, I could pay a maintenance guy to work all these different places and keep someone busy. And so I don't know, that's kind of where I'm at in my head right now. But yeah, I kind of got off on a tangent there.
No, it's good. It's a good tangent. Well, the thing I was going to say on your tangent that was good, that I definitely see and agree with, is the, you know, where's your time best spent? You know, where is it most valuable? Is it most valuable putting that bolt on, right? Or is it going to find your next deal? Or is it building relationships within the community that are going to bring you your next influx of business? And that's something that it took me a while to figure that out. And I'm really fortunate with a business partner and a friend and a mentor who was always like, it's not worth our time doing that. And we had a business that failed that, you know, it was a little coffee shop, and we just kind of like, this will be easy. It's a coffee shop. It can't be that hard. And we just, you know, threw it out. And it's incredibly hard. You really need to know your stuff when it comes to coffee. And, you know, like, well, we got a couple baristas. They kind of know what they're doing. And no. And finally, after like kind of just, you know, breaking even, losing money for 12 months, but the sales kept kind of growing. But I was like, hey, I think this thing's going to get there. My partner's like, is it really worth our time? And I'm like, I guess it's not, you know, like, let's put our energy in things that actually make money, or we know that we can make money with. And so being willing to pull yourself out, you know, and like you said, though, finding people to take the tasks off of your plate that are not your most valuable use is a really big key for people. And I've had so many people, like I have significant others that, you know, in my past, I'd be like, oh, I was thinking about hiring an assistant. And they're like, oh, really? Like, yeah, you're too busy for that. And I'm like, yeah, but I suck at the paperwork. I'm not good on board. Like, I can onboard, you know, a ton of clients, but then I get caught in all the paperwork afterwards and just onboarding them. And that is a nightmare for me. And that's not where I'm a 10. So find someone who's a 10 there, put them right next to me, and then I get to go find more clients, and they do the paperwork.
Yeah, and they help you keep organized, everything like that.
100%.
That's something I've learned is I now also have a you know, an actual planner that I use, but in my phone I put everything in, and I schedule everything, so I know every day what I'm going to be doing every day. I schedule it all out, and then I have a planner that I'm like breaking down my days, how I can make them the most proficient. Like where, you know, I I know I want to work out that day, so I make sure to throw that in. Then I'm like, if I got this podcast in the morning, then I need to go to the bank and talk to somebody there. But then I have some stuff that I need to do in town, maybe at the gym or something. So I'm like always trying to plan out my days, how I can be the most proficient. Because if you don't do that, that's when especially when you have multiple different things going on, that's when you start to get, that's when stuff starts to get, tangled up and you start missing appointments or you start forgetting to call people back or forgetting to do something.
Yep.
And I was going to go, it's called The Collective. It's in Rolla, Missouri. And it's for like just entrepreneurs. It's something they started. And, that's where I'm at in my life right now is I need more people around me that are entrepreneurial mindsets. I have so very little amount of people around me and I catch myself, I'm very passionate about what I do. And so I always want to talk about it because I'm always trying to grow in some aspect, but there's a lot of people around me that they don't give a damn about it. They're happy going their 9 to 5 and coming home, be able to watch TV and not have to think about it at all. But I can't even not think about it. I have no interest in coming home. And so that's why I've been reaching out. But yeah, I guess I didn't write it down right. And I thought it was started at 7, but it ended at 7. And so, yeah, luckily I sent out a text because I was just like confirming the location. And it was at a country club over in Rolla. And I was like, the country club at 7, right? And they're like, well, actually it ends at 7. I was like, damn it. Because it was like 6:15 at this point. And I'm like, damn it, messed up because I didn't write it down. Yeah. Forgot to write it down. So the next one I wrote down, I'm going to make it to it. Yeah. So I don't know how we got sidetracked over onto that one.
No, I mean, yeah, I live and die by my calendar in my phone. If it doesn't go in there, and I feel like it's rude sometimes because like if we're talking or something and I get this text and they're like, hey, this time. Like when I see it, I have to do it in that moment and put it on my calendar.
Yes.
Because otherwise it may not happen and I forget it. And probably from growing up playing some sports and whatnot, if you're on time, you're late. And I cannot stand being late or missing a meeting that I scheduled. So the only way that I miss or I'm late is I didn't put it in this thing right away. So I'm, a little OCD on that part of it. But
yeah. I had a college. I never graduated in college, but I went to college, tried to go to college because I thought that was what I was supposed to do after high school. And I had a professor tell me, if you're 15 minutes early, you're only 10 minutes late. And basically the way he explained it is, if something were to happen, if you broke down or something, you blew out a tire, you can fix it, and then you're actually only 10 minutes late. But if you leave on time every single time where you're like, oh, it's only 30 minutes away, so I'll leave 30 minutes ahead of time, and you blow out a tire, now you're way late. So and that kind of just stuck with me at a very young age. And then I was like, because I didn't really start like really starting to develop myself until I was probably 21 years old. Around 19, 20, 21, I really took a step back and looked at myself like really good in the mirror. And I was like, dude, you need to make some changes with your life. It wasn't like I was like that bad of a person or nothing.
Yeah.
But I had graduated high school, had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, like no career, no real career. I was working in factories at the time. I was just basically looking for any job that would pay me the most with no skills. And like college meant nothing to me. Like I went to Lynn Tech for 2 days, dropped out. Then I went to East Central College for a semester or two and just dropped out of it. And yeah, it wasn't until I was like 21 I was really like, okay, time to make some changes in your life.
That's still pretty young. I mean, like, I think we were all, I would refer to myself as an idiot, definitely at those ages for sure. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And, even at 25, 26, I was still like, I'm not sure exactly. But then I got a taste of this business brokering stuff. And then I was like, that's
what I like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I get to see all these companies and, so I think a lot of people probably deal with that and don't really fall into what they are going to end up doing, But yeah, my thing too is like I can tell you're passionate about what you do and you have to keep moving. I always say like it's a shark. A shark's got to swim to breathe. You got to keep moving, and that's kind of how I see myself. Like even in retirement, I'm gonna have a tiki bar or something by the beach that I own, just so that I got something to do.
Yeah,
I might not be bartending at it, but I might be its best customer.
Yeah,
but there's gonna be something that is a project, and when I look in the future, and one of the things that I get to see with what I do for a living is I see these business owners that 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're still really sharp because they're still in it and they're still going. And I see people that, you know, when they get out of their business and they retire, like sometimes they decline if they're not active and they don't have, you know, a passion or a project or something to be working on. And like my biological grandfather that I mentioned, you know, guy still has over 10 plus companies and he's like 83 or 84. And I'm like, what are you doing, old man? Like, you're going to get like, you know, if something ever happens to him, like that's a lot of problems and work for the people who are left with those companies that are operating to unwind and figure out what needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know, but he's one of the sharpest guys in the room in his 80s.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that have come down and visited him and we've stayed at his house and like even, you know, even my friends were like, your grandfather's very smart and like he's with it. And it's probably because he's still going.
Yeah. Is that kind of like if you don't use it, you'll lose it kind of thing? I
think so.
I feel like it is. I have a couple friends that work for, they have their own dispatching company but it's under, you know, they're their own S corp and they do their own dispatching, but they do it through Universal Lines, who's out of Michigan, very big company. And they were telling me about the lady, like I think it's like the guy, the husband and wife that originally started it. I don't know if the husband's died or whatever, but they said the lady that originally started was actually doing the paperwork. And she was 94 years old, still doing paperwork for the company. 94 years old. I mean, most people don't make it to 94 for one, but to be still actively working in a large company and being an asset towards it, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome to me.
Yeah.
To think that you can still get up every day, go to work and do anything.
Yeah.
Because people start losing their mind. And that's why I just think retirement's not a good idea. But you definitely don't want to be in a field where you're doing roofing or flooring.
No.
You know, because, you can't do that till you're 94 years old. And that's a big reason why I got out of body. You know, everybody's like, you'll make an old man out of you quick.
Shelf life, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I probably should take a step away from this because it was hard work. It was hard work, and you're exposed to chemicals, and you're up and down, you're harsh working conditions, and as much as I love it, it just didn't make sense to be in.
Yeah.
Because I want to be that 94-year-old person that is still working. Because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I do every day, I do not consider work.
Yeah.
Like it's other people would consider it work. And I had a lot of people, they're like, do you ever stop working? And I'm like, no, not.
I feel like it.
Yeah, I'm like, not if it's up to me. You know, because I've been like, I like to come home in the evenings and I don't like to watch TV. I'll come down and edit the podcast and just. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of energy. It's just hanging out doing it. But I really enjoy the podcast, and it's nothing for me to come home. And it's actually part of how I unwind a lot, kind of clear my head. Because a lot of times I come home just ramped up from the day, especially if I made a deal happen. I just made a deal happen on silver the other day, and it wasn't much silver. It was like $2,000. I think I paid $2,200 for it. Very small deal of silver. But I was so hyped about just the deal itself. Yeah. It wasn't even the silver. It was just making the deal happen. That was so exciting to me.
Yeah.
And so, like I had to be able to come home, like, days like that. Like, I won't sleep at night. My mind would be racing, and I'll be motivated to do something else. And so, got to find a way to unwind, and that's how I do it a lot of times.
Yeah. No, I agree. I get excited about that stuff, too. I had a restaurant manager last year, maybe. He's a sommelier. Really nice guy. And anyway, you know, I was starting to kind of look at some of the wine or the spirits that we can get in because we, you know, have a restaurant. We're a decent sized client of these distributors, so they'll get specialty stuff in now and then. And so anyway, he reached out and he goes, "Hey, I got this really good couple bottles of wine coming in. It's gonna like $1,600 if you want them." And I'm like, "What would they sell for?" And he's like, "I don't know, but I could probably flip them for you." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "That's fine." And so literally, like, they came in. I never even got to see them. He took a picture of them, sent it to me, and he's like, "One of my collectors will give you $3,200 for it right now." And I was like, "Sold?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So he
doubled your money on it?
He doubled my money on this, like, 2 bottles of wine, and I was like, but I was like super excited. I was like, that's so cool. Like, but just like, it was a little deal, but just putting that deal together, you know, whatever. It's like a little dopamine hit. You know, you get a rush, and you're like,
what? Yeah, is that what it is? A dopamine?
I guess, right? Like, anytime we do something that
I always say it's the art of the deal that is so exciting to me. Like, it's not even about the bottles of wine or not even about the silver. It's about like making the deal happen. Especially when you're like, I don't know if I should do this. And then you do it and it works out better than you ever imagined. Yeah. That's like, I guess it's just a dopamine rush that you get from
I would think, I would think,
I was just thinking something. Totally lost my mind. Just totally just went blank for a second. Hell, I guess it wasn't that important.
So you went to Owensville, right? I was going to ask you. So you went to Owensville High School, so you're a Dutchman.
Yeah, right? I guess so. Yeah.
That's
I didn't play any sports in high school though.
Really? That's so interesting. Like I think one of my best friends, his name's Robbie, he owns a gym, and I don't think he played any sports in high school, but like fit guy, athletic, and just didn't really like get into sports, but it's just so interesting that.
Where's he own a gym at?
Central West End.
Really? Think he'd come on a podcast?
Maybe.
I'd love to have a gym owner on. I've reached out to a bunch of gym owners.
Yeah.
None of them want to do it.
Oh, yeah. Robbie would do it. Yeah, I think he would. But now he's getting into some sports. So now he's doing like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and
I would love to do that.
Yeah. He's getting into that kind of stuff. And
see, around here, there's nowhere to do it though.
Yeah.
I got to go to Washington. They have a Gracie Barra up there. And it's at 7 o'clock at night. So by the time, if I go up there, start at 7, it's probably an hour-long class. I'm not getting out until 8 o'clock at night, and I'm all sweaty, nasty. It's a 45-minute drive back home. Got a shower. Next thing I know, it's it's a 3-4 hour window.
It's a commitment.
Yeah, it's a commitment. It's a big commitment and a lot of time.
And a 1 hour class is almost not enough of a workout for me to consider it to be like it was like worth it. So it's like I have to go to 2 classes, or I have to because if you do a class, they typically, depending on where you're at, some of the gyms I've been to.
This is
for jiu-jitsu. Yeah, jiu-jitsu. They'll do like 45 minutes of drilling, which is great. Drilling is how you get better. But there's only like 15 minutes of live, and that's where you're working out really working out.
What's part of the drills? Like, what do you do in the drills?
So
this is cool that you do this. I didn't know.
Yeah. So like you might just drill arm bars, and with your partner, you and your partner are practicing an arm bar or a triangle choke, and you just keep practicing it. And then, they'll teach series. So if they do, a triangle choke, they'll also teach you 2 or 3 things to defend against it. Or if the triangle doesn't work, then you shift over to this, an omoplata or whatever it may be. And it just kind of keeps flowing, and you work in these series of moves. So if you end up in this situation, you'll have 2 or 3 things in your, plan book, or playbook, I should say. So that's the drilling part, which is good to get better, but I hate that part.
Really?
I mean, it's like, we're drilling.
You like to actually roll around with someone.
I call it rolling. I like to go live. And I think I wrestled in high school, and then I wrestled at Lindenwood.
I wish I would have. If I go back in time, and I hated wrestling in high school. Yeah. Now I'm like, man, I wish I would have done it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like the hardest sport, and because I hate to say it's harder than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but most of the BJJ guys would say, it's more tiring because there's no break, and you get penalized if you don't constantly keep attacking. So I have to keep pressure and attacking the whole time in wrestling, otherwise I'll lose the match by points and disqualification, basically. In Jiu-Jitsu, you get a lead, you can just stall. I can just like wrap my legs around you and hold on, and just let the clock run out. Because it's not
point-based.
Well, it's point-based also. It's submission and point-based.
Oh, okay.
Depending on what you do in jiu-jitsu, but typically it's point-based and submissions. But if you go for a few submissions, you score some points, I'm up, I have a big lead, I'll just stall out the next 3 minutes, and it's going to be really hard for you to kind of catch up. Mm-hmm. In wrestling, I would have lost the match because I stopped going hard.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird transition sometimes for wrestlers. Like I've lost matches in jiu-jitsu before because I had a big lead, and I kept trying to attack, and I got caught in something one time and got submitted. That was embarrassing, but
it happens. Part of it, though.
But I didn't have my coach there at that match, and he wasn't going, "You're up, just stop, like just stall the next minute and a half, and you'll be fine."
So you do it competitively a little bit too.
I used to, yeah.
Not anymore though.
No, I broke my ankle pretty bad like 5-6 years ago.
Doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, and then I held out of it for a few years. I went back a couple times, and it was just like didn't feel right on my ankle. But I actually went and rolled for the first time a few weeks ago, and it was because my buddy Robbie is starting to train now for jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I wrestled in college, and so he wanted me to help him work with takedowns and stuff like that. So I came and I helped him roll, But it kind of gave me the bug again, and I was like, oh man, I miss this because I did jiu-jitsu on and off for probably 11 years maybe.
Do you follow jiu-jitsu, like just strict jiu-jitsu?
No, not really. Like I know like kind of some of the top guys are in jiu-jitsu.
Do you know the top guy,
Gordon Ryan? Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not thinking Gordon Ryan. I think this guy's name's maybe he's not the top guy. I thought he just won like the jiu-jitsu like world whatever.
Gordon Ryan.
Is that who it was?
Maybe.
This guy I'm thinking of, he's a younger kid. I think his name's Mikey.
Okay, yeah, they're small. Yeah, he was on Rogan.
Yes. What's his name?
Yeah, I don't know him or
you should look it up.
him.
Oh, you probably can't. You don't have Wi-Fi.
I've seen him before though. And yeah, so there's,
did you watch that Rogan?
I did watch. I think most of that. He was very interesting. His eating, like the way he eats.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff,
it's crazy.
Crazy.
I've only watched clips.
Yeah, if he trains that much though, it's like it's such hard work that like I can see why he needs to eat so much. But so there's all these different weight classes. So I think Gordon Ryan is probably heavyweight or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
true.
Probably the baddest guy on the planet for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But then there's world champions on all the other levels that are lighter.
Now this kid, he came up with his own move, right? Kind of.
I can't remember. Did he talk about that on the thing?
It's something like it's something with getting the foot in, but he gets his chin on it, so he can push down on the foot while it's turning, and it puts some different pressure on it. But they said it's like a guaranteed like tap out.
I could see that. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about it.
I know so little about jiu-jitsu, and it's something that I've really had a lot of interest in. Like I've looked into it. I've even had a day where I told myself I was going to go do it. Like I was like, I'm going to go show up today and do it, and I just didn't do it because it's 45 minutes away, and I just talked myself out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm slowly, and I can't even control it. Like I'm not even like actively pursuing like learning about jiu-jitsu and like falling in love with it basically, but I just keep getting pulled back to it. I'll see a clip online about it and I'll watch it and it just intrigues me. I love learning about it. And then here's this, I think his kid's name's Mikey something.
Yeah, the kid from Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I seen that clip and he just seems so young, but he's so talented. And then all of a sudden he comes up with this new move and just hearing about how much he trains and how passionate he is about it. And it's just like, whoa, that's so intriguing to me.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu people are pretty neat too. Like there was a difference. Like when I grew up around a bunch of wrestlers and I was in college with wrestling, like we were idiots. And most people have stories if they went to any kind of college that had wrestling, like you knew they were like the guys who were going to start fights and do dumb stuff. And it was like kind of in wrestling, like we kind of thought we could probably beat people up, but you like didn't know for sure. Like I knew I could throw some around and control them and probably be able to punch them in the face, but you didn't know how to submit them. You didn't know how to do all these things that could really, really also hurt them. So I think wrestling just has kind of a little bit more aggression to it. And then when I phased out of wrestling and was just doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a little bit of MMA and stuff like that, with Jiu-Jitsu, there's like a calming confidence knowing that like I can choke someone out and like it has real consequences if I wanted it to. And you like don't want to fight at all because you're like, I can really hurt you. Like I do not want to do this. And so that was just kind of an interesting thing. And most of the jiu-jitsu people are just like really calm and chill and really respectful, especially if it's in a good jiu-jitsu school and a good community. I
think the big difference there too is that in wrestling, it's all point based. There's no submission, is there?
No, there's a pin.
There's a pin.
Yep.
But but like in jiu-jitsu, you can literally get choked out.
Yeah.
Like someone, like, you can. Yeah. And so it's like, I think there is almost like a level of respect too, because people physically, inflict pain on you to a point where you have to tap or pass out. And so I think there's a level of respect there when you're like, oh, like this isn't, it's not, yeah, you're literally putting someone in pain where wrestling's not so much. You get thrown around and beat up some, but I think it's totally to a different level.
And I really appreciate the two together. Like wrestling is probably the hardest to learn because it takes the longest. Like it takes 2 years just to kind of like have the basics of it. And if you go and look at like the UFC, like the vast majority of the world champions that there have been are wrestlers originally. But if you get someone that's a high-level wrestler and they can become proficient in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu enough or good, right? And they have heavy hands and they can hit hard, those are the people like you really got to watch out for, because you're never going to catch up to their wrestling if you didn't wrestle from 5 years old on, you know, and so again, you know, for anybody getting into like all of those sports, like I still like highly believe in wrestling first. And just because the discipline level of, you know, cutting weight is not a great part of it, but the discipline you get from managing your weight and watching what you eat and being like, I can't drink this water and I'm starving right now and I'm so thirsty.
Yeah.
And I can't even do it, you know, but just you're disciplining yourself. And I think if you look at like in history, there's so many presidents that were wrestlers, a bunch of the guys who make it through Bud's training for the SEALs or wrestle, like all of it, the mental part of it's very high. But
I think that's a big reason why I want to get into it.
Yeah.
Just to see if I can push myself through that mental. I mean, obviously there's physical part of it and, you know, like the self-defense part of it too. But I want to see, like, I just heard so much about the mental benefits of it. Tons. And just, you know, I'm always trying to like discipline myself in other avenues. And that's just one that's like something that's interesting to me. And I just want to see like
you should do it.
How beneficial. I think I will.
How much space do you have at your gym? Do you have any space that, like, could you put a little mat down that would be like the size of this room or half this room?
I could certainly, I have a whole studio and I have classes in there and I could certainly get some mats and put them down in there. The big thing is trying to get someone out there that's going to teach us how to do it properly.
This is what I think you should do. You should get a friend or two, make the trip to Washington and go to Washington for a few months or whatever. And if you join it, keep going, but like, you know, maybe go one night a week, you know, or something like that. Make the commitment to that. But if you're going with a couple friends from here, then in the other nights, you guys can train and drill your own stuff that you're learning at the gym yourselves. And you don't have to make that commitment to go all the way out there. That's what I would do if I was in a place that was kind of farther away, because there's people that travel.
Well, I have a lot of people come in, they show interest. And I know there's a lot of people that go to Washington, because that's how I know the one in Washington, because there's people out here that
maybe
travel.
Get a coach to come out one night a week.
Yeah, dude, that'd be so cool.
If you could get like 4 or 5 people to sign up for yours at your location or wherever, and then have a Washington coach come out or whoever, you know. But St. Louis actually has some pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, I bet. I would love to have someone on my podcast just to fill me with knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that's also a big reason why, like, I want to try to go do it. I think Washington just makes more sense to me. I don't know anybody there.
Yeah.
But I'm so just ignorant on all, like, the whole jiu-jitsu, everything. Like, anybody would teach me anything. You know, like, I could sit down with you and you would teach me a ton of stuff. You know, just because I'm so, like, I just know so little about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, it's a great thing to have in your toolkit.
Yeah.
Just the basics.
Yeah.
Fantastic to have.
Yeah. I think it's only a matter of time before I finally just give in. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
Treat it like another deal. Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, that's a big thing, is just start doing it. And then I'll be hooked.
Then it's not scary. It's you're in it.
Yeah. And I don't even, my biggest thing is just the drive time, like the amount of time I'm going to waste going up there, having to do it, and then come back. Like, I do like my sleep. So the night, but if it's only one, like, that's the way I looked at it. I'm like, it's only one night a week. If you go up there, just like I think I don't remember what nights they do it. I think they might roll every single night. I don't know. They might.
Yeah. They probably have classes every day.
Yeah.
And then like open mats and stuff, and like Saturdays or whatever.
Yeah. Now, it's not very expensive, though. Do you wear gi and stuff, too? Do you have to wear gi?
God, that's a great question. If you want to really develop technique well, you should probably wear a gi.
Really?
And that's probably the best way to do it. But I also really like no gi. I've had friends that, like, I have a buddy that used to be like a white belt, a blue belt when I was training, 10 years ago, originally. And he now has arthritis, like, in his hands, and he can't even, like, grip the gi because you got to grab the gi, and there's all these weird grips and stuff. And he's a black belt now, and he's like, dude, I don't even wear the gi anymore because my hands can't do it. And I don't know if that's the main reason he thinks he has arthritis, but he kind of cited that, and I was like, oh, geez.
Really?
But for me, being a wrestler, I like to scramble. I like to get in these wild, flying around from move to move to move. And if someone has a gi on, or if I have a gi on, they can just grab this and stop me from flying around on them. So I hate it. It feels like I'm in like quicksand and fighting in that. And I'll have guys that like I would destroy in a no gi situation stay with me or beat me in the gi, and it just will drive me nuts. I'm really competitive. And I remember one tournament, my coach, I only did one tournament with a gi, and my coach was like...
They give you an option?
Well, yeah. So there's gi and there's no gi. So you can do either. So I always sign up for no gi. That's what I always do.
And with no gi, it's still like a...
Gym shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, but a tighter fitting shirt? Or
yeah, you want to wear something a little bit tighter, like like Under Armour shirt or something. But
right.
Yeah, so there's no gi, and wrestlers really tend to like no gi, but really good technical Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys really like gi a lot. And so anyway, my coach was always like, "Man, I really want you to wear the gi, and I really want you to do both." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did it for him basically, and I was just a white belt in the gi, and I went up against another guy who was like they do like 1 stripe, 2 stripe. He was like a 3 or 4 stripe white belt. So he's about to be a blue belt now. So he's been doing gi for 2+ years. And I've been doing gi for like 1 week, and he beat me by points. And I just remember I was so pissed. I like walked up to him and it got really awkward. I was like, "Hey," I was like, "You're going to stay for no gi, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." I go, you should stay. I'm like, "You should stay for no gi." And he was just like, "What the hell? Like, this dude's fucking weird." And, but I was like, "I'm going to work you." Like, and then he left and did not stay for no gi. And I was very frustrated. And so anyway, but yeah. So like that happens,
But it was just your competitive nature wanting to like basically like earn your points back, basically.
For sure. Cause like in no-gi, like I think one of the last tournaments I did, I won one tournament. And I think the guy I beat in the finals was like a purple belt or whatever, and it was like not even close. So outside of a gi, that's my spot. Sure. But the gi is like all new to me.
If you're a big wrestling fan, what's the guy that was like the best wrestler of all time? Ended up coaching at Ohio State.
So maybe you're thinking of Dan Gable for a while.
Dan Gable.
It was Dan
That's
Gable.
Exactly
it was Iowa. Yeah, he coached at
Iowa
State.
Yeah.
No, he coached at Iowa, the Hawkeyes. Yeah, he wrestled there. He was a 3-time undefeated national champ, and I think he lost his senior year. And then he didn't give up a point.
That was the only match he lost.
Yeah. And then he didn't give up a point in the Olympics, I believe. Something like that. He came back from that loss.
Did you hear? He was on Joe Rogan. Did you ever listen to that one?
Yeah, I did.
Amazing story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he lost his sister very young age.
Yeah.
And then he just used that as motivation to push through. That's whenever I really started paying attention to wrestling more. And I actually was like, whoa, I was like, this dude's got a crazy story.
Yeah.
Amazing story.
A lot of them do. It's a very... Wrestling's a blue-collar sport, It's tough, hard-nosed kids, and it's from all different backgrounds, and it doesn't cost a lot to get into it.
Look like boys in tights that wanted to roll around with each other. And I was like, that's gay. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it, and I wish I had somebody that influenced me at a young age to get into it.
I think if they got rid of the singlet, that it would be more popular, and there would be a lot more people that are like, "Hey, I'm just not going to wear that little weird thing you guys do." And,
I still think it's weird.
Yeah.
Like I still think now I understand it's just part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
and they're starting to do it a little bit. They're starting like in Little League and stuff. I'm seeing like stuff where they're wearing shorts now and tight shirts and stuff, and I think that may help it a little bit. So we'll see. I think the UFC helps it most likely because people realize wrestling's like the top discipline that you should start with before you add the other disciplines. But again, I don't know. I feel like some of the numbers are down. For youth wrestling, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But I do feel like between the UFC and jiu-jitsu and guys like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They really help shine a light on it. And it's not just these troubled kids that want to fight. Jiu-jitsu is not a lot of people think jiu-jitsu is just fighting. And it's not like that at all. It teaches discipline. It helps people stay in shape. There's so many benefits to it. And these guys that are rolling around, they're choking each other out, but they're getting up, shaking each other's hand, and joking around after it. Like they're friends, and you're not. Yeah, there's an art to it, and it's not this bad thing.
Yeah,
but that's what a lot of people look at it as. Is just like, oh, you're fighting, and I don't know. I think it has like a negative to the people that don't do it. I think it has a negative face to it, but it's really so much more. Yeah. The people that, like you said, the people that are doing jiu-jitsu, they're super calm people. Yeah. Super nice and
they don't need to prove. They're like, I don't need to prove anything. Like, I don't. And that's kind of how the mentality in wrestling was a little bit it was kind of like I got to prove that we're tough. And jiu-jitsu, you're just like, nah, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, because you're right. Everyone that I knew that wrestled was always a big fighter.
Big time.
Always big fighter. And they're ready to fight when it comes down to it.
So then the wrestlers that don't want to fight you anymore, that learn jiu-jitsu, don't mess with those ones.
Yeah.
Because they like don't need to prove anything, but they actually know how to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and nowadays you never know who's who's going to be a good fighter. That's what's scary about, like, when you're going out. You don't want to just you don't know who you're messing with.
Well, watch for the ears first. That's the first thing. Always if you're gonna pick a bar fight, like always check the ears first.
Yeah, if their ears, tops of their ears are all freaking blown up and stuff, you're gonna want to stay away from them.
Don't.
But those kind of guys really don't hang out at the bars either. That's something I really like.
It just depends.
I feel like I don't see that as much, like the guys hang out, because they're, like you said, they're disciplined on their diets and they're staying in shape, and they know they have to go roll around whenever they go out and drink a bunch. And,
it probably depends on where you're at. Like out here, there's not a lot of jiu-jitsu. There's not a lot of that, But if you end up in like a college town where there's a wrestling team, or whatever, and I don't think the Brazilian jiu-jitsu community is very big like that, but the wrestling community kind of is. And like, when I went to Lindenwood at St. Charles, it was like, the wrestlers ran all over Main Street all the time.
Really?
Oh, yeah, just in like herds. There'd be like 9 or 10 of them at a time. And
it's probably not a group you want to be like mess around with.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, and like, one of them would get into something, and then they're all in it. So it was just like,
well, didn't Dan Gable talk about that on Joe Rogan? He said he didn't stop him, but he said what he would do is he'd go down there at like midnight, and he would sit in the bar and he'd have a beer, and he's like, all right, you guys got to go home.
Yeah,
we got to wrestle tomorrow. You guys can stay out and have some fun. But he's like, you guys aren't getting any more trouble. So he would like make sure that they got to go out and have some fun, but also they were being well behaved, because he knew they'd go out and get in fights and get drunk.
Fighting just feels like practice. It just feels like practice to us, but like you can throw a punch now.
Yeah,
but otherwise it's practice.
Yeah,
and it's like
so that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, not good.
Well, I feel like we're probably been in this a minute.
Yeah.
Well, hell, you know what? I'm kind of scared of that, actually. Sometimes it's saying it says it's at 4 minutes, but I bet it's actually recording. The timer actually just zoned out.
Okay.
What did he say? Yeah, we're an hour and 27 minutes in.
Cool.
So we're an hour and a half in. So one thing I want to do, 2 things I want to do before we end this. I have everybody sign my banner that came out. Yep. So you have so many. Just put your main business on there.
I can do that.
Your 90% focused business on there,
do that.
and then sign your name on it. But I also want to I like to have everyone just shout out. Like you have quite a few businesses. Shout them all out if you want. But yeah, anyone that's watching this podcast still, I want just go give this guy some love. Give his Facebook post some likes, give it a follow, whatever. And that's the big thing with this is And then people. Yeah, that's big for a business. Just going, liking it, and sharing their stuff and helping them grow, because that's how people grow. It's how people see it. The algorithm bumps it up and stuff. So tell people where to go and what to follow and like.
Well, I would say if anybody wants to learn more about buying a company or selling a company, our brokerage firm is called Premier Business Brokers. Another business that we have that's not too far, Eureka, Missouri. We bought Brookdale Farms last year. So we've got float trips and animal encounters, as we call them, all kinds of like weddings and things like that. So it's kind of
you have a wedding venue there.
Two wedding venues.
2 wedding venues there. Yep. And then like right now, this podcast won't get released till sometime after. So October is about over, but you guys have a big Halloween.
We've been wrapping up Halloween, and we've been wrapping up
because you guys
wedding
do
season,
hay rides. You guys do do you do the whole pumpkin, everything like that?
We don't grow them. Unfortunately, it's very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
But we buy them and bring them in by the truckload. Yeah. So we have them, and so we do that, and then we've got I've got some restaurants in St. Louis: Tenderloin Room, Tamm Avenue Bar, Nomad. Those are all places that a lot of my friends, even from Washington, come in to town and experience. So
Tenderloin Room, huh? That's a big steak place.
Yeah.
Where's that located at?
That's at the Chase Park Plaza,
which is
just turned 60 years old this year.
Where's Chase Park Plaza at?
It's right
North
off
County,
of,
South County.
It is Central West End, so right across from, right off Highway 40 and Kings Highway, by Forest Park.
Cool.
So to me, the most iconic hotel in St. Louis.
Really?
All the presidents used to stay there back in the day, and Frank Sinatra.
Dang.
Frank Sinatra used to go to our restaurant.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
You got a good steak too, huh?
We do. You have to come down.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm always searching for like the best steak.
Yep.
And I'll pay good money for a good steak too. And I'm big. I mean, I go for ribeyes mostly, like especially around here. But I'm a prime rib guy.
We got a 42-ounce cowboy ribeye. That's pretty good.
Holy cow, 42
I think
ounces?
it's 42. Yeah,
Dude,
it's something crazy like that.
That's nutty.
I could be wrong. I think it's 42, but our best is we have our tenderloin, which is our best.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll definitely go try that out sometime.
let me know.
I'm always like searching for a good steak.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
What else? Anything else you want to?
You know, the other stuff is like we have a State Line Products is a specialty construction company. We travel around the country and we install commercial rolling doors for distribution centers. We've got if anybody has logistics needs, we have a logistics company and a warehouse company called Thunderstone Logistics. It's full truckload. We have, I think, commercial grade food quality or designation for our warehousing. That's kind of a new one that's doing really well. But yeah, that's basically it, man. If anybody needs advice on their business, I'm here.
Cool. Well, I know I'll be reaching out to you for sure in the future. If for everyone else that's listening still, definitely make sure you guys like this YouTube video, share it, subscribe to the channel. You know, all that kind of stuff really helps me grow. I always forget to plug myself most of the time. Like I know I should probably do it at the beginning of the podcast, but usually I jump into it and we get to chatting, and I always forget. Here lately, I've been thinking about just throwing in like a clip, just or something at the beginning, just to try to help people remember to do it. But I really appreciate you coming out. It was actually it was a blast.
Nice meeting you.
I learned a lot. I hope everyone that's listening learned a lot. You know, maybe in a year or two or sometime down the road, maybe we get back together and just see kind of where we've gone.
Sounds good.
You know, I'm pushing every single day. It sounds like you are too.
Yeah.
So, and let's get you to sign that.
All right, perfect.